Coming up next on Ghana Tonight, we're live in the Ashanti region for updates on the Environmental Protection Authority media team, which was earlier today involved in an accident. Very unfortunate development. Journalists covering the EPA special operation on clamping down illegal mining were earlier today involved in an accident at Afari in the Ashanti region. Now, two journalists who were, we understand, are currently having their conditions being monitored right now. They are responding to treatment because of what happened earlier today. And our Ashanti regional correspondent, Media General Ibrahim Abubakar, was amongst the team. And we understand they are all responding to treatment as we speak. We want to get a bit more detail on exactly what happened. For those of you who are watching right now, on the screen you have a journalist who was part of the team who sustained head injuries. That's Ibrahim Abubakar, my colleague, Ashanti regional correspondent, seated there talking to this journalist. This other colleague journalist who sustained head injuries as a result of this accident. Preliminary reports indicate that the convoy of the EPA was attacked by some illegal miners at Dagini near Obuasi. Now, let's get a bit more detail into this. And fortunately, we have the Chief Executive Officer of the Environmental Protection Authority joining us. Professor Nana Ama Brown Kluche, if you can kindly put your video on for me, that'll be good. So we can have this conversation. But I'm going to show you what we do know and what's the condition of these colleague journalists, as we've been showing you. We'll put it on the screen right now. It doesn't look good, but then the most important development here is that they are responding to treatment. We want to establish a bit more detail on exactly what happened beyond this preliminary information that we've gotten. Unfortunately, Professor Nanama Brown Kluche heads the Environmental Protection Authority. She's joining us on Zoom right now. Prof. Kluche, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight.
Good evening, sir. Thanks for having me.
A very troubling and worrying development. First off, let's establish how my colleague journalists are doing right now, those who are in the hospital.
Yeah, thank you very much. We thank God that we all have our lives now. It's just unfortunate that we have some injuries. As I said, the most critical one is a broken tie, which is one of the Joy TV cameraman who had a broken tie. Your correspondent, Abubakar, had some, he had chest pains and he is responding to treatment. Adom TV correspondent, that's Joseph with a head injury. He's also responding to treatment. Then we have some EPA staff who were also involved in the accident. They are all responding to treatment, and we have discussed it with the doctors and nurses in charge to pay special attention to them because we were on a national assignment before this unfortunate incident happened. Yeah, so as the operation we started yesterday, it's a 3-week plan that the EPA has to ensure, especially the services that others provide for mining in our water bodies, which is illegal. We plan to tackle that aspect as well. So we realize that it's not just enough to say stop mining in the river bodies, but again, we saw that we needed to deal with the suppliers. So we took over the shops, closed down many shops at the Arian Kwanta, as I narrated yesterday. So today we were on another route to close down some other shops. On our way near Obuasi, we saw people on the ground, the Galamsey happening on the ground. So we decided to have a look at what they were doing. When we stopped and walked into the area, in fact, where they actually mining, they have access route, so we had to stop by the roadside and walk to the ground, the field where they are mining. So as we were going closer, they were running away, and they did. All of them left by the time we got there. So we looked around what we could pick. We did pick. Whilst leaving, we saw that there were actually more of the excavators, 3 of the excavators that is inside a river body.
Inside?
So inside river body. So in fact, they had mined in the river body and blocked the river in such a way that it has taken different tributaries around the area and flooded some places. It's messy. It was really a bad situation. So we actually went to the car and used another route to the place. And whilst there, the people also ran. We called them to come, and then just before we could even have a conversation, they had sent news around, and so we saw built men, a number of them came with guns. We had the military with us anyway, and the national security also were with us. But then we saw that we couldn't exchange fire, so we could not fight them. So we had to run for our lives. So in the course of we running, speeding on the road, we encountered this accident. So one of the cars, which had some EPA staff and some of the journalists, had a head-on collision with a truck that is actually carrying some pipes for Galamsey, these Galamsey operations. We saw some of them on the field. So they had a head-on collision, and we had the injuries that they are now at the hospitals and attending to treatment.
I see. So you're indeed confirming that you were attacked by Galamsey operators. I mean, we say well-built, heavily armed people.
Yes. So some of them were dressed in black, like complete black from top to down, and some of them were wearing vests like this with CID written at the back. We asked them, in fact, the soldiers, the national security men, asked them of their ID card and stuff like that. So it was becoming confrontational, and then we had to leave because we couldn't. They said they cannot overpower them, so we had to leave. They had their arms, but we didn't. Of course, EPA doesn't. We didn't have, so we had to run.
I see. Now, what prompted the decision to run? Were they attempting to fire at you or attack you?
Yeah. So whilst they were having the confrontation, we got intel. So I got a phone call from Accra that we should leave immediately where we are, and that even the route we plan to take, we should not use it again, and we should not return on the same route we came from Kumasi to Obuasi. So we had to use another route altogether, much longer through central region, through western region, and then back to Kumasi. But just before we reached Kumasi is when we had a head-on collision.
And this change in route, as a result of that call you got, was because intelligence had been picked that you could possibly be attacked if you used the same route you came?
Yes. So as I received the call, the national security operators also had a similar call. So they were giving us feedback as they drove right in front of my vehicle, and we had one driving 2 vehicles behind. So we got phone calls from different sources, but all from the national security, that picking intel that where we are is not safe, and that we had to take cover immediately.
This is troubling. And you say that you saw some of these heavily built men wielding weapons. They were wearing vests with CID written at the back of it?
Yeah, with guns. In fact, pump action, they said.
And they refused to produce an ID to authenticate whether they are indeed CID officials?
Yeah, they didn't have any ID to identify themselves as security agents.
And the military personnel that you were with, were they armed?
Yeah, some had guns with them, but not all of them. But then when they assessed the situation, they knew we cannot exchange like that, so we had to move.
Indeed, obviously, because with what you're describing, you were outnumbered, correct?
Exactly.
And with the people that, because of the intel you had gotten, and the word that had gone out, that
Yeah,
so
and actually, the longer we stayed, the more they came. So
wow.
then, yeah, we had to leave almost immediately. We saw those signals and received the calls.
I see, but these persons who were wearing the CID vest, were they with the illegal miners?
I would say yes, because they asked the illegal miners, they were in their Wellington boots.
Right.
I mean, the illegal miners came in their Wellington boots on motorbikes, and these built-up men were in like normal military boots with their guns and their black outfits and the vests.
I see. Now, and they refused to, even with the interrogation from the military personnel you were with, they didn't want to cooperate. They didn't want to give the information as you were asking for.
Yeah, not at all. They couldn't produce any ID cards or any identification.
I see. And just based on that, the trail of information that you got, which led to you changing your course and taking a different course, is it to say that you were on some top speed because of the fear of your own life? Reason why it led to this collision? Let's understand what led to this head-on collision.
Okay, so we drove in a number of vehicles. The national security were ahead, were the lead vehicle, and my vehicle followed. So we had to go, it's let's say, a number of vehicles in a convoy. So we had to move at the pace the national security operators are moving. So we couldn't help it. We had to just go.
I thank you, Prof, for this. And before I let you go, the other colleague of mine, you say, has a broken tie. What's the extent of the injury? Do you know? Yeah,
I learned from the doctors that it's broken and position of, so it's broken and position changed as well. So they assessed the situation, and I learned they can fix it even here in Ghana. But I got the assurance from the presidency that if it cannot be fixed in Ghana, they are ready to send him out of the country to get it fixed.
You've been on this operation, as you indicated, for a number of days now. In fact, a couple of days you closed down a whole chamfang manufacturing company. They were fabricating chamfangs in this country.
Yeah.
Chinese.
Yes. Yeah, so in the warehouses where the water pumps, the champagne engines, the water hose, the mats, or they call it blankets that they used to capture gold when they are washing. Mm-hmm. And in the same warehouse, they do the fabrication of the washer. That is the metal that they wash the gold on in the warehouses. Some are doing it in the front, and then of course we have some Ghanaian-owned mechanic shop that also do this fabrication. But the fabrication of these washers or this metal structure is illegal in the country. We're not supposed to have that done. I saw a Ghanaian in his shop, and I asked him if he knows that what they fabricate is illegal. He said he doesn't know. So we did education for him, and then we asked him to dismantle the whole structure and not to go back to it. So even when we saw Ghanaians, we still dealt with it. We had our mechanics also with us. So when the shop owner is not there, we do the cutting ourselves, and then we leave.
Prof, I do appreciate you spending some time with us, and we'll touch base again tomorrow to get an update on the well-being of the journalists and your team as well, who were affected as a result of this accident. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Professor Nana Ama Brown Cloche is the Chief Executive Officer of the Environmental Protection Authority. Not too good news, but then again, the most important thing is that they are responding to treatment as we speak.